No, it's no joke. No joke, as Joe Biden would say. I'm telling you, I've been watching all these Congress people running around like chickens with their heads cut off. I've been watching the Speaker of the House for now, Mike Johnson, trying to figure out what he's supposed to be doing. I'm telling you this right now. I've got 2 years. I'm thinking I may have to run for Congress because I don't know if there's anyone else that I trust to do this. Our congressman is, first of all, he's old. Second of all, he's horrible at the job. Third of all, he's only there for himself. And so I'm thinking to myself, you know what? I go, this job is not that difficult. I was able to figure out this entire continuing resolution mess. I was able to figure out what was happening with the first order of business, what was going on yesterday with this supposedly new clean resolution. I know what's going to happen today. It is ridiculous. You can clearly see how much corruption there is in the halls of Congress when you look at how some of these people act. And I think it's just time, man. We need fresh young blood. Okay, I'm not that young, but I'm fresh. And I'll tell you, I've started an exploratory committee. And by that I mean I posted a poll on Twitter. And I said, because John Rutherford, first of all, the last thing we need is another Washington establishment type rhino for another 2 years. Well, in Washington, anyway, I posted a poll on Twitter. Question: should I run for Congress against Rep. Rutherford in 2026? And look, overwhelmingly, 92% of people say yes, and 7.8% of people think it would be a horrible idea. And we'll find out which ones. I don't even know how you start an exploratory committee. I'm going to be honest with you, I would have no idea how to start an exploratory. I don't even know what would be exploring. That's another issue I have with Congress. Like, I feel like, whenever somebody's like, well, I'm going to run for office, I'm going to do this, they have to form a committee. I think that's the big problem. I think that's where the problem starts. You got to make a decision. I'm going to do it or I'm not going to do it. Well, I'm exploring my options. You have one option. It's a 50-50 shot. I always tell my kids, when our kids were really young, we took them to New York and they were concerned about crossing the street because apparently they'd heard that somebody got hit by a car and died while crossing the street. And so, which happens a lot in New York City. But anyway, they asked me, they go, Daddy, are we going to get hit by a car crossing the street? And I go, no. And one of my kids goes, what are the odds that we get killed by a car crossing the street? And I said, 50-50, which apparently they freaked them out. I go, what do you mean? You either get hit by a car or you don't. It's a 50-50 shot. I guess that's not how the odds work. Apparently they were thinking more like, 1 in 100 bajillion chance. But I was like, it either happens or it doesn't happen. So you got a 50-50 shot. That's how I live my life. You do or you don't. None of this other stuff. But yesterday, I'm going to walk you through the whole thing. I'm going to walk you through exactly what's been happening this week, because I think that there's a lot of people that are not confused, but I think there's a lot of people that are getting misinformation. Funny. Isn't that amazing? Isn't that amazing? People are getting misinformation about something regarding the government. This whole thing, if you're going to blame somebody, okay, this is not Donald Trump's fault. This is not Elon Musk's fault. This is not the 38 representatives who voted no on this continuing resolution yesterday. It's not their fault. This is the fault of Mike Johnson, who decided last year, yeah, I could be Speaker of the House, and kept somebody who is actually capable of doing the job from doing it, got in the way of somebody who could actually maybe wrangle the rest of the Republicans or speak to President Donald Trump and the ruling class before he acted on behalf of the entire party on a ridiculous bipartisan bill that nobody wanted or would have approved of, unbeknownst to, by the way, the President of the United States elect, who was working on his own agreement. And the whole thing was a debacle. It was a communications mess up, and Mike Johnson is 100% squarely to blame, and that's why he'll probably not be Speaker much longer. And there are so many better people out there. There are so many better people out there to be Speaker of the House. One of them is Jim Jordan, who was Jim Jordan was this close to becoming Speaker of the House, but guess who voted against him? Our congressman from District 5 in Florida, John Rutherford. Why? Because he didn't like Matt Gaetz. I'm going to be honest with you. When you look at the chaos in the House of Representatives, when you look at what's going on, when you look at the people running around like chickens with their heads cut off, frantically waving their arms in the air, screaming and yelling, it's so chaotic there today. And Matt Gaetz isn't even a congressman anymore. You haven't seen this much chaotic behavior since Matt Gaetz would walk into the House of Representatives, basically throw a Molotov cocktail on the floor, and then sit back in his chair and watch everybody run around and try to put it out. Those were the days, man. Those were exciting. The same thing is happening now, but instead of Matt Gaetz doing it intentionally, Mike Johnson is doing it unintentionally and unintelligently. I think he accidentally lit a fire with this entire budget mess, and now it's going to burn down his entire career. Here's what happened yesterday after Mike Johnson and his new plan, which was backed by President Donald Trump, by the way, failed miserably in the House of Representatives.
That all but 2 Democrats voted against aid to farmers and ranchers, against disaster relief, against all these bipartisan measures that had already been negotiated and decided upon. Again, the only difference on this legislation was that we would push the debt ceiling to January of 2027. I want you all to remember that it was just last spring that the same Democrats berated Republicans and said that it was irresponsible to hold the debt limit, the debt ceiling hostage. What changed? It is, I think, really irresponsible for us to risk a shutdown over these issues on things that they have already agreed upon.
Okay, so now he's saying, look, you guys already agreed upon this stuff. Now you're not voting for it, and 2 Democrats voted against it. The secret, there's something about this bill that nobody's telling you. And fun fact, I'll tell you here in just a minute because I'm always honest with that. I never lie. That may be a lie, but I guess we'll never know. But anyway, there's something about this whole process that people aren't telling you, or they're purposely neglecting to include in their explanations. And I see people all over Twitter, and I see people freaking out, and I see people attacking really good conservatives, and they have no idea what they're talking about. Mike Johnson pushed this bill through, requiring a 2/3 majority in the House of Representatives, where the Republicans hold like the slimmest margin ever. This was never going to pass with 2/3 majority. I'll tell you the backstory here in just a minute. First, though, I want to check in with Tim Burchett, Tennessee Tim from Tennessee, who is my new. He's one of my new favorite social media stars. I don't know how he is. I guess he's a good congressman. He's pretty conservative, but he's one of my new favorite social media stars. And I try to catch all of his posts. Here he is walking out of Congress yesterday after voting no. And I'd like to point out, Tim Burchett, if you're in Tennessee, you got a good one there because this is a man of his word. Let me start by playing you. This was Tim Burchett's, walk and talk is what we'll call. I guess we'll just call it a walk and talk. This was. I got to go back to X to pull it up because I don't think I actually saved it. But this was his walk and talk yesterday, and Tim Burchett said, walking out of the House of Representatives the first day, he said, "I just voted no on this bill because it was horrible." Then he came out yesterday and he basically voted no again. He has 2 different accounts. I got to find the right one. And what he said yesterday, it tickled me even. It tickled me even more than what he said the first day. Here was his walk and talk from yesterday, just so you recall what he said.
Hey everybody, Tim Burchett. Everybody's wondering what the heck is going on. Well, I'll try to explain a little bit of it to you. The CR, which is a big bloated monstrosity that everybody
He's so great.
Pulling off of, and everybody cut a deal, and the deal just got too big. I told y'all from the beginning I was against it, and so now they'll try to pass what's called a clean CR. But you got to remember, a continued resolution, a clean CR, is just a continuation of the bad spending policies that Pelosi and Schumer put in during COVID.
Yeah, let me get it to the end though, because this is the important part. Here it is.
Probably isn't. Anyway, thank y'all so much for sending me here, and hopefully we'll vote on something here soon. I'll be opposed to it because we have not passed a budget in over 30 years, and we're constitutionally mandated to do just that. Thank y'all for sending me here.
You're so welcome. So Tim Burchett, sorry, I've been saying it the wrong way. Tim Burchett yesterday said, well, I guess tomorrow they'll bring us something else, and I'll be opposed to it. So he was telling everybody on social media, I'm going to vote no tomorrow. Whatever it is they bring, I'm a no vote because we haven't balanced the budget. We haven't cut spending. You guys are continuing the bad deal that we had before, and you're adding on $100 bajillion more for all these other programs, and you're not cutting back anywhere else. So yesterday, let me bring you this one. So yesterday, Tim Burchett walked out after voting no again, as he promised to do. And he recorded this little number, which could be one of my favorites. It could be one of my favorites of all time.
Hey everybody, Tim Burchett just voted against the CR, and I want to tell you why. It's over $1 trillion, and we never even got to read the dadgum bill. $100 billion in disaster assistance that we're given to this administration to spend in the next 30 days. We don't trust them with 50 cents, much less, hey girl, we don't, 100 billion unchecked again. 5.7 billion in there for submarines. Now you got to ask yourself, what does that have to do with this? Why is it in there? Just a lot of things. I guess it just goes back to actual spending. And then it is a continuation of the Pelosi-Schumer spending levels. Dadgummit, we can do better. This is not the way to run a government. You all elected us to do it differently, and that's what we need to do. Thank y'all so much for sending me here. And look at all the press.
Look at all. By the way, my favorite part of that is in the middle when he goes, "Hey, girl." Right in the middle, he pulls out a Ryan Gosling. "Hey, girl." He's just walking downstairs. "Hey, it's Tim Burchett. I just voted against. It's like $1 trillion. Hey, girl." And then he just walks down there. I wrote to our good buddy Representative Aaron Bean, who also voted against it. And I said, you need to do these videos. I'm going to help you. We're going to come up with a system. You got to do videos like this, because he would be incredible at it. Anywho, so Tim Burchett voted against it for several reasons. He voted against it because it pushes back the debt ceiling, which is $1 trillion in debt with no offsets. It also had $100 billion for stuff that, again, we weren't offsetting, and it didn't change any of the ridiculous spending that they already had. Now, the $100 billion in spending for disaster relief, it's very important. He said something nobody else is saying. It gives it to the Biden administration. And he's like, we don't trust them to spend anything. Why would we give them more money? Joe Biden, you know what he did? He just announced another $1.2 billion or something to Ukraine. Why would we give them more money for disaster relief, which we know they already earmarked for Ukraine? Push it all back, wait till Donald Trump is president so that he can spend the money. That's the most exciting thing. And that was really the plan. In fact, let me walk you through exactly how this was supposed to happen before Mike Johnson just mucked the whole thing up. And we have proof of that as well. First, though, because it is the holiday season, because it is almost Christmas time. Okay, I got some Christmas music. I had a lot of people write to me and say, hey, can I send you a Christmas card or a gift? Is there someplace we can send that kind of thing? And I said, you know what? It's probably too late right now. But what we'll do later today is we'll do some holiday super chats. So if you would like to send a message, a holiday greeting, and you want to drop a super chat on the YouTube, then what we'll do is we'll take some time at the end of the show today, and we will accumulate all of the super chats, and we will read them and have it. If you have a question about something, if you just want to comment my hair, I'm just kidding. If you want to donate to my exploratory committee for a congressional run, although I don't think legally I can do that yet. I don't think, anyway, whatever it is, whatever's on your mind, whatever you want to say, or if you just want to say happy holidays, thanks so much for doing what you do, and let's continue to do it in 2025. It's a great way to support the show and say hello to everybody. Drop a super chat on YouTube. We'll also do some Rumble rants. If you're a Rumbler and you're like, I don't trust that YouTube, fine, drop a Rumble rant and I'll read them. I won't be able to display them on screen, but I will be able to read them and share your messages, and that'll be a good way to spread some holiday cheer. Because, like I said, I don't have any place right now. I mean, we have the Patriot Outpost, but the USPS isn't going to get it there. There's no way in HE double hockey sticks that anything's going to get here before Christmas. So the best thing to do is just drop that super chat. Also, if you can subscribe, that'd be a huge help. Subscribe, watch this channel, like our videos. If you set the notifications, that's great too. Because you know what really helps a channel grow? As a now YouTube expert, self-proclaimed, the one thing that really helps YouTube channels grow is when you watch more of our content. And so if you like this video, watch another video. If you watch another video, watch another video. If you set the notifications, whenever you get notified, just come and watch the video for 5-10 minutes. First of all, I'm never going to deliver you something that I don't think you're going to enjoy. I'm going to make sure that every video that I deliver, every podcast that you hear is full of substantive information, the real truth, entertainment, inspiration, something that you're going to listen to and go, man, I'm sad that's over. Because trust me, the alternative is where it's horrible if somebody goes, man, I'm glad that's over. I never want anybody at the end of one of my podcasts or at the end of one of my videos to go, man, thank God that's over. I want the opposite to be. If you ever find yourself listening to Mark Kaye Saves the Republic in your car and it ends and you go, oh God, thank God, I thought I was going to drive off a cliff. Please let me know, because I'll adjust. I want to make sure that I'm making everyone as happy as possible. Not everybody happy, because you can't make everybody happy, but I want to make sure I can make people as happy as possible. All right, so Mike Johnson, the Speaker of the House of Representatives, for now, has got to go because he has just ruined everyone's entire Christmas. The original 1,500-page draft of this continuing resolution was so bad that Elon Musk had to pledge, he had to pledge his own money, of which he has a lot because he's like got $400 billion. He's the richest man in the world. But Elon Musk had to pledge his own money on X to primary any Republican who voted for this 1,500-page monstrosity. Donald Trump said the same thing. He goes, we will work to primary anybody who votes for this 1,500-page monstrosity. It was so bad. It was horrible. It was a bunch of Christmas gifts to the Democrats. It was all these horrible things. And wouldn't you know it, guess who put it into place? Mike Johnson, the Speaker of the House. Mike Johnson, the Speaker of the House, negotiated this bill. And guess what? He did it behind President Donald Trump's back and without the involvement of a lot of Republicans, as we learned from Maria Bartiromo on Fox News.
And that was House Speaker Mike Johnson reacting last night after the spending bill failed to pass 174 to 235. 38 Republicans voted no. Only 2 Democrats voted yes. This was a slimmed down version of the bill backed by President-elect Trump. It was drawn up after major opposition to the initial 1,500-page plus package. This newer bill would have prevented a government shutdown and suspended the debt limit until January 2027. Fox sources revealing that Trump's team was in secret talks with Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer for weeks in order to get the debt limit included in this bill. Speaker Johnson negotiated a separate spending deal with Schumer, even though Trump was talking to Schumer about this, putting the debt ceiling issue in there. Lawmakers are now racing for, what do you call it, Plan C?
Yeah, Plan C, ya wouldn't want to be ya, Mike Johnson. So Donald Trump is working with Chuck Schumer, and we know that they know each other. We saw what happened at the Al Smith dinner. We saw them roasting each other. Donald Trump saying, you know, Chuck Schumer's a good guy. Chuck Schumer, I've known him a long time. I donated to his campaign, and I may not like some of his policies, but he's a good man. That was Donald Trump's not an idiot. Donald Trump's the smartest person in Washington, D.C. at the moment. Donald Trump knows that he knew at that time, I'm going back to Washington. I'm going to need Chuck Schumer's help. I'm going to butter him up a little bit. I'm going to make him look good. I'm going to make him feel happy about having to work with me for a couple of months at least, because Donald Trump was fairly certain. He was fairly certain that he was going to win the presidency. He was fairly certain he was going to get a Republican Senate and a House, and he knew that he would need, Chuck Schumer's help for a couple of months. And Chuck Schumer and Donald Trump had an open line of communication. They were working on a deal that would keep the government going, fund the necessary things that need to be funded, like aid for the hurricane victims and also for the farmers, not fund all these other stupid things, and keep the debt ceiling in place so that Donald Trump could act really easily on a lot of his campaign promises, including no tax on tips, no tax on Social Security, all of that other stuff. And Mike Johnson rolls in and goes, hey guys, let's put a package together. What do you want? And it's ridiculous. It's like this 1,500-page monstrosity, as everyone said, that is everything the Democrats wanted and nothing the Republicans wanted. And so Donald Trump, I wonder how these phone conversations with Mike Johnson went. Donald Trump has to step in. Elon Musk has to step in. Republicans have to step in and say, we're not voting for this thing. Mike Lee in the Senate and Josh Hawley in the Senate, who also have to, whatever the House of Representatives comes up with, it goes to the Senate, and the Senate's got to vote on this thing. And Josh Hawley and Mike Lee, who are true conservatives fiscally, are looking at each other going, WTF is happening in the House of Representatives. WTF is Mike Johnson doing? In fact, Josh Hawley basically said that exact same thing about Mike Johnson without mentioning his name.
Why would you saddle Donald Trump with this terrible spending bill before he even gets into office? And Sean, the worst part is it dumps it right back in his lap in March. In March, under this bill, they'd shut the government down again, have to do this all over again, have to raise the debt ceiling again later the same year. It's ridiculous. It's a horrible plan. I can't believe that Republican leadership ever cooked it up. Clearly, they didn't talk to Trump about it. And I tell you what, we need to have a serious look at who's leading this Congress, because if this is the best they can do, I mean, it's total incompetence. This is a disaster.
Josh Hawley, by the way, correct. I don't know if it was an assumption or if he knew, but he was right on everything. It was a horrible bill. It saddled Donald Trump with all this debt. It paid for things we didn't want. And he said it was disastrous and clear incompetence. And he goes, I don't know whoever negotiated this, Mike Johnson, clearly didn't speak to Donald Trump. And now we know that's true. Now we know that that's true. And Victoria Spartz, our favorite Ukrainian Indianan, who is in all I got to tell you, I love our Congress people. And Victoria Spartz, by the way, she was one of the 38 that voted against this thing as well. She was on with me, Maria Bartiromo, and Maria said, look, so what's going to happen next?
Well, Maria, it's another example of failure of leadership of Speaker Johnson. I mean, the circus is continuing. The act is not over, but let's not worry. We'll make sure that American people not worry. It will be over. But unfortunately, on top of it, Speaker Johnson dragged President Trump into this circus. He completely didn't mishandle it. He didn't work with Republicans. His staff has made deal with Chuck Schumer, tried to jam us before Christmas with a bunch of Christmas presents for Chuck Schumer, and then he's continued doing it again. So I think this is unfortunate where we are, but this is an example why we haven't been governing, and the country is on a fiscal calamity course, and we need to start doing something about it.
Yeah, fiscal calamity course. I'm sorry, fiscal calamity course. I love the way she talks. I love listening to. She reminds me of my grandmother, who was Polish. She's Ukrainian, I know, but it's a very similar accent, and it's so funny to listen to her. I feel like my grandmother's in Congress, because that's how my grandmother had the same accent growing up my entire life. And now I listen to Victoria Spartz and I'm like, oh, Bubby, are you in Congress? Bubby, when did you get elected in Indiana? But she's 100% right. And Maria Bartiromo said, what are you going to do? What are you going to do now? What about, are they going to shut down the government? Are you going to support Mike Johnson? Listen to this.
So, number one, are you expecting the government to shut down? Should we be afraid of that?
I would not be very afraid of anything here. This government never shuts down. The Circus Act will be over the closer we get to Christmas. That's how they try to be things to be jammed. Everyone is campaigning, Democrats, Republicans, and all these things. Yeah. But I wouldn't worry about. This is the act will play its place and will be funded again on this fiscal insanity. But hopefully next year we'll have a better plan.
And number two, real quick before you go, who will you be voting for Speaker on January 3rd?
I haven't decided yet. I'm still looking for a plan from Speaker Johnson. I haven't seen it yet.
Ain't no plan from Speaker Johnson. You can be waiting a long time, Bubby. There is no plan yet from Speaker Johnson. In fact, Speaker Johnson, I believe, has been taken out of the mix. When he messed up this 1,500-page resolution, when he went behind Donald Trump's back, when he went behind the other Republicans' backs and negotiated with the Democrats, and I don't know if he thought he was doing a good thing. I don't know if he thought he was being helpful. It's really weird because I remember Mike Johnson before he was Speaker of the House. When Mike Johnson was just Mike Johnson from Louisiana on a committee yelling at Democrats, he seemed like an okay guy. But man, it just goes to show just because you can cross-examine somebody or grill a Democrat or some kind of agency head on a Senate subcommittee doesn't mean you're going to be a good leader. And clearly, Mike Johnson is not a good leader. Jim Jordan, I think, probably would have been a better choice. Byron Donald's name, I know, is being floated. Thomas Massey, who also voted against this thing yesterday, which, by the way, was not necessarily a vote against the bill. It was a vote against Mike Johnson. Because here's what happened. The first bill was never supposed to happen. After that, Donald Trump and Mike Johnson and everybody else, they came together with a second bill. But that bill, the bill yesterday, the one that Donald Trump put forward, was never supposed to pass. It wasn't going to pass. Everybody knew it. Donald Trump knew it. Mike Johnson knew it. Everybody knew it. The reason it wasn't going to pass is because it took out all of the pork, all of the Democrat earmarks. The Democrats got absolutely nothing in it. They got no pay raises. They got no stadium in Washington, D.C. where they could take their girlfriends for football games. They had none of that. They didn't get all their other pet projects. Nothing was funded except for hurricane relief victims and the agricultural, farmers who also needed relief because of the agricultural situation. That was it. Oh, and also the government. So the Democrats were never going to vote for it. Also, it extended the debt ceiling, the cancellation of the debt ceiling for 2 more years into 2027, which the Democrats also weren't going to do because they want to see Donald Trump fail. The Democrats don't want Donald Trump to be able to go in there and all of a sudden cut tax on tips and tax on Social Security and tax on everything else that he promised. They don't want Donald Trump handing money back to people. They want to make it as difficult as possible. So that debt ceiling was never going to pass either. And the third reason we know this was never going to pass is because Mike Johnson pushed it through with restriction, meaning it didn't go through committee. He knew the Rules Committee would never send it to the floor, so he restricted it. He goes, look, we're going to do this under restriction. We're going to put it on the floor. And when you bring a vote without going through the Rules Committee, in order for this bill to pass, it has to get 2/3 majority vote. Now, we have a 1-vote majority currently in the House of Representatives. Did he really think that he was going to get almost 1/3 of the Democrats to vote with Republicans? No, he got 2. He got 2. This plan was never supposed to pass. It was supposed to fail, and we were supposed to pin it on the Democrats. And you can tell this because of Mike Johnson's reply when he came out.
To us that all but 2 Democrats voted against aid to farmers and ranchers, against disaster relief, against all these bipartisan measures that had already been negotiated and decided upon. Again, the only difference on this legislation was that we would push the debt ceiling to January of 2027.
Okay, so he's saying, look, it was only all but 2 Democrats voted against this. So this was their plan. Donald Trump knew, look, you screwed it up. You messed up our bill. You messed up my vote with Chuck Schumer. It's not going to happen. So now we got to pin this this impending government shutdown. We got to pin it on the Democrats somehow. So go in there, restrict the Rules Committee, put it out on the floor. We'll get a vote. All the Democrats will vote no. And then we can say the Democrats are voting to shut down the government. Well, all of a sudden, what happened? 38 Republicans who, by the way, didn't even get involved. I mean, there was no Republican involvement at all. I wrote to one of these Republicans who voted against this yesterday. I said, hey, what's the deal? And this person wrote me back and said, here we go. Suspending the debt ceiling would allow for $5 trillion in new spending. Really, really bad. Also, we never got a call about the vote or the bill. Vote bells started ringing. I had to read the top lines on Twitter while walking to the floor. They gave us less than an hour to consider the deal. So once again, the Republican leadership, Mike Johnson, tried to push through a bill with Republican support and didn't let the Republicans read it, clearly not having learned the first 5 times he tried to do this. You got Republican representatives going on Twitter while they're walking to vote on a bill, trying to figure out what the bill's about. That's not going to pass. Nobody should ever vote on a bill you haven't read. I'm shocked more Republicans didn't vote for it or didn't vote against it. And then you've got all of the spending measures. There are a lot of Republicans on the list who have vowed not to vote for any additional spending unless there's offsets, which is basically what the DOGE is all about. If you want to spend $100 billion, fantastic. Where are we cutting it? In this particular bill, there was $100 billion, but there were no cuts. And in addition to that, the $100 billion doesn't go to Donald Trump. It goes to Joe Biden. And Joe Biden can blow it all in 30 days. And Donald Trump didn't want that either. This bill was supposed to fail, and fail it did. But the problem was Mike Johnson is so bad that you had 38 Republicans, including Thomas Massie, and I'm sure a handful of others, who said, we're going to protest the leadership. We are going to send Mike Johnson a message and let him know he's done. And 1 or 2 Republicans, maybe Mike Johnson comes back as leader. 38 Republicans? No way. This guy's toast. Today will be the last day that Mike Johnson is known as Speaker of the House of Representatives in the House of Representatives. Today at midnight, not only does the government shut down, but so does the role of Speaker Mike Johnson, because come January 3rd, there will be a vote as to who's going to be speaker. Let's face it, there's probably going to be a lot of votes as who's going to be speaker, and it's not going to be Mike Johnson. 38 Republicans protested Mike Johnson's speakership in this vote that they knew it was going to fail. That's the other reason you had 38 Republicans vote against it, because they knew it was going to fail. Even if all 38 Republicans voted for it, it still would have failed because you needed 2/3 majority because of the way Mike Johnson mishandled the situation. So a change in leadership is coming. A change in leadership is coming. And man, I'll tell you what, being Speaker of the House of Representatives, that's like the shortest job. That's like the shortest position ever. There has not been a Speaker of the House that's lasted a whole year in the past couple of years. I mean, Kevin McCarthy, boom, gone after what, 8 or 9 months? Then you got Mike Johnson. He's going to be gone. Lord knows what's going to happen. I don't know. Byron Donalds from the great state of Florida has expressed interest, and I know a lot of people have expressed interest too. And I really like Byron Donalds as a person. I like him as a legislator. He's rough and tumble. He's MAGA conservative. He supports President Trump and his agenda. He's strong. He's got a backbone. He's like 6'5". Guy's huge, by the way. I interviewed him. He's huge. You got to look up on him. And he's just a good, solid guy. I don't want him to be Speaker of the House. I like him too much. I don't want him to ruin his own career. Hopefully, he'll be able to do the job. I mean, there's Thomas Massey's a good guy too. I don't want him to be Speaker of the House. Sometimes it's better to not be in management. Sometimes it's better to not be in management. When I was in the radio business, I always, every now and then someone would come by and say, "Hey, do you want to ever, run a radio station?" I go, "No." First of all, I have way too much talent for that. If I have too much, the talented people have to stay in front of the microphone, in front of the camera. I have way too much talent to be locked in an office somewhere on the phone or in meetings. Oh, I hate meetings. Let the untalented people run the radio stations. And that's what they did. The dumbest, least intelligent, least talented people got all the big office jobs and the vice presidencies. And all of us with talent, we stayed on the air and we entertained people and created great product. Now, it's the same, I believe, in the House of Representatives. You want the good, talented people on the floor debating and fighting and voting. You want the good, talented people out there writing legislation. You don't want the talented people locked in an office trying to compromise. I mean, that's the worst thing. If you're a fighter, the worst thing you can do is be put in a position where you're forced not to fight. Oh, think about how horrible. It'd be like Mike Tyson in the ring with Jake Paul. Mike Tyson's a fighter. All of a sudden, he signs this deal. He's got to go in the ring and not fight Jake Paul. That's horrible. Oh, that's just horrible. Anyway, Chuck Schumer is the other side of this. Chuck Schumer is the other side of this coin, because the other thing that people don't remember is that it's still, I know it feels like Donald Trump's the president, right? It feels great. We have all this excitement. We've got all this prosperity. We've got everyone's like running around yelling Merry Christmas, which is fantastic. I went to the liquor store. They said Merry Christmas. I went to the grocery store. They said Merry Christmas. I went somewhere else. I think I went back to the liquor store because I forgot something and they said Merry Christmas again. You're back. And even at my kid's school today, I have to drop off my dog. People were saying Merry Christmas, and you haven't heard that in a while. We're back. America is back. Christmas is back. It feels glorious, and it will continue to feel glorious. But we've still got till midnight tonight with Democrats in control of the Senate and Democrats in control of the White House. And so if this new third bill, which I'll tell you about in a minute, passes, it's still got to go to the Senate. And Chuck Schumer is still the majority leader in the Senate. And Chuck Schumer, who was apparently negotiating with Donald Trump and then got blasted out of the water because of Mike Johnson's ridiculous bill, Chuck Schumer is now like, oh, well, I want Mike Johnson's bill or there ain't going to be nothing, because the Senate has a Democrat majority and the Senate needs to vote to pass whatever spending bill the House of Representatives votes on.
It's time to go back to the original agreement we had just a few days ago. It's time the House votes on our bipartisan CR. It's the quickest, simplest, and easiest way we can make sure the government stays open while delivering critical emergency aid to the American people.
Yeah, so Chuck Schumer saying, look, now that our bill failed because Donald Trump and Elon Musk harpooned it, and now that your bill failed, which was designed to fail anyway, so we could blame Democrats for the shutdown, now you got to go back to the first bill. Anything else is unacceptable and will not get passed in the Senate. And so this third bill, which we're getting word of right now, here, let me tell you, here are my notes. I'll be honest with you. I have not been on the phone. I have not been on the phone more. I hate talking on the phone. I'm not a phone talker. You know, I'm a texter. But I've been on the phone. I've been texting. I've been trying to get information. I've not been on the phone and texting more, people this much since I was trying to, renegotiate a rate on my car loan payment. But I've been talking to all these representatives, everyone I can get a hold of, to try to find out what's going on. Here's what I found out. Here's what's going to happen today. They've got where are my notes? Oh yeah, I've got it all on X. Here's what's going to happen today. You can take this to the bank, folks, because I have not been wrong. I've not been wrong yet. And if I were, I would not admit it, which is another reason why I should run for Congress, because that's one of my biggest, when people say, what are your talents, Mark Kaye? I say, well, I'm never wrong. And when I am, I never admit it. That to me right there, I think qualifies me for some kind of government position. I mean, I would assume. Yeah, thank you. Anyway, so here's what's going to happen. I'll bring this up. Number one, the first bill. They're going to bring, they've finally done what everyone's been suggesting they do forever. Forever and a day, we've been saying, hey, you know what? Instead of one big omnibus bill, let's break this up and do separate bills. Let's do separate, and Matt Gaetz was a big proponent of this. So many, Kat Kamek was a big proponent of this. So many good, there are staunch conservative MAGA Republicans who for years have been saying single issue bill. SIBs. I don't know if that's what they call them, but that's what I'm going to start calling them SIBs. Single issue bill. That's what we need. And so now, guess what? After all of this wrangling and tangling, there's going to be single issue bills. Bill number 1, continuing resolution to fund the government for 3 more months. Is it kicking the can down the road? Yep. But at least it funds the government free from any pork, free from any earmarks, free from any other spending that is unnecessary. You just get to keep funding the government, and everyone gets a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and then they'll revisit it in March. Okay? Bill number 1. Bill number 2 provides the needed disaster relief to hurricane victims. Seems important. A lot of senators from the hurricane-ravaged states, including Lindsey Graham from South Carolina and Tom Tillis from North Carolina, have said they're not voting for anything that doesn't include hurricane relief. Bill number 3 provides agriculture relief to farmers. That's it. 3 bills, 1 issue per bill. They're going to have to vote on these. Now, they're going to have to vote separately, which means Democrats in the House of Representatives are going to have to, vote for or against funding the government. And if you come in there and say, here's a bill that funds the government for 3 more months so we can avoid a government shutdown, and a Democrat says, I'm not voting for that, then you have to ask yourself, why the hey not? Why the hey not? Hey, girl. To quote Tim Burchett, hey, girl, I want to play that. I'm going to isolate that. I didn't have time today before the show, but I'm going to isolate that. I'm going to put that on the button bar because that was one of my favorite. We're going to play it again before we go. But anyway, you're going to have to vote against that. And then you're going to be like, why the heck are you not voting to fund the government? And it's going to be a tough sell. Because I didn't get my earmarks? Because I didn't get the pork that I was promised? Because I didn't get the raise that I wanted for myself to the tune of $70,000 in COLA relief? Because I didn't get a new stadium in Washington, D.C.? Because I didn't get the chance to stick it to RFK Jr. when he goes to the Department of Health and Human Services? It's really tough. It's really tough to vote against that. Hurricane relief. Why'd you vote against hurricane relief? Because it was unattached to the things I really wanted. I only cared about hurricane relief and voting for hurricane relief and the hurricane victims in North Carolina and South Carolina and Florida and everywhere else. I only cared about them when I thought there was something in it for me. But now that I'm not getting my pay raise, I don't care about them. That would be the message anybody who votes against this would be sending. And then there's the farm bill, same thing. It's the same thing. You're forcing Republicans, you're forcing Democrats, you're forcing everybody to make a stand on a single issue. Are you or are you not against funding the government for 4 more months or 3 more months? I'm for it. Are you for it? Is there any strings attached? No submarine spending, none of that? No? Okay, great. Pass it. We're done. Should pass with flying colors. This is all we've ever wanted. And because of the chaos in Washington, D.C., and that's why I always say chaos isn't bad. People always say chaos. Oh, chaos is bad. The chaos is the world. It's so chaotic. Donald Trump's a chaos presidency. Matt Gaetz is creating chaos. In the midst of chaos, good things happen. In fact, the world, if you remember it, God created the world. There was nothing. You know, it's chaotic. He threw it, boom, there we are. We're down. There's animals popping up everywhere. He makes Adam, he makes Eve. He goes, Adam, whatever words come out of your mouth, that's what the animal is. It's chaotic. There's animals running up to Adam, and Adam looks at it and goes, horse. And all of a sudden, God's like, you're a horse. And then another one walks up and goes, moo, and he goes, cow. And all of a sudden, you're a cow. Whatever the name that Adam spaketh, God said that's what the animal shall be. It doesn't matter. It's all chaotic, and great things come from chaos. But they want you to believe that everything should be orderly and systematic and the way it's been for hundreds of years. It's not how this works anymore. That's not how this works anymore. So now the Democrats are going to have to do that, vote against it or vote for it. That's their choice. And then when it gets to the Senate, the same thing's going to have to happen. Because if you send 3 bills to the Senate, they're going to have to vote on 3 bills, or they're going to have to stand up and explain why they don't want to do that. And I think that's going to be a real tough sell. I think that's going to be a real tough sell. Here's the thing. If you can get Tim Burchett to vote for something, then you've succeeded.
Hey everybody, Tim Burchett just voted against the CR, and I want to tell you why. It's over $1 trillion, and we never even got to read the dadgum bill. $100 billion in disaster assistance that we're given to this administration to spend in the next 30 days. We don't trust them with 50 cents, much less. Hey girl.
We don't trust him with 50 cents. I don't know who it was, by the way. I want to know who caught his attention, because, you know, he was in the middle. And he was, hey, girl. And he just all of a sudden just, whoop, all of his attention was over there. But also he said dadgum twice in that one little clip. It was like a minute long clip. He used the word dadgum twice. I want every single representative to do these. I think it should be mandated. I want, at the end of the day, when a representative is walking out of Congress, I want them to be required by law to pull out their cell phone and do at least a 1-minute recap of what they did that day, or a 1-minute explanation as to why they didn't vote that day, and post it on X. I think it'd be great. I've written every congressperson I personally know, and I said, you should do this. This is fit. This is how people get to know you. This is how people like you. It's the news schmooze. You know, there's so many people, like, people hate Chip Roy. I get it. I understand why people don't like Chip Roy. And he's always on the news. The news grabs him and they throw him in front of the camera, and he's more than happy to oblige. Nancy Mace, I get it. She's always in front of the camera. But the real people, the real stars, the real people that get it are the ones that bypass the media. You don't need the media anymore. The media is dead. I don't know if you've heard. It's all about podcasting and social media and direct to consumer. It's all direct to consumer. You don't need the intermediary. If you've got your cell phone, as Tim Burchett lets us know, then you've got a pipeline to your constituency and to a whole bunch of other people. And not to mention, I get great content for this show. But that is something I want every single representative to do. I want them to do a daily 1-minute update of what they did that day, what they're planning to do tomorrow, who wronged them. Just let it all out there, you know. Let Congress, let the government of the United States and its inner workings be our entertainment, because it is so entertaining. I'm entertained by it. I hope you are too. And that's one of the reasons, by the way. So if I do run for Congress in 2026 against one of the worst representatives we've ever had in District 5 here in Florida, John Rutherford, if I choose to do that, just know every single minute will be documented. There will be more X posts and TikToks if TikTok doesn't go bust. There'll be live streams. There'll be podcast. Look, Matt Gaetz had a daily pod. That's another thing. I love that we now have representatives in Congress and the Senate who are able to do podcasts and have the ability to explain exactly to people. And I was a guest on Matt Gaetz's show once. It's called Firebrand. And he would go into his office and he would turn on the camera. I'm sure he had a staff to do it, which would be another great reason to be in. Man, here are the perks of being a congressperson. First of all, if you're a congressperson, you get a salary for basically working for very little work. I mean, if you ever watch C-SPAN, half the time these people are just sitting in a chair listening to somebody talk. And then every now and then they jump up for a couple minutes. They read their prepared 5 minutes. You get 5 minutes to talk. That's it. So you talk for 5 minutes, you go sit down, you listen to some speakers, boom, you take home $174,000 a year, plus like the best medical and pension you've ever seen. It's amazing. I would run for Congress just for the medical insurance. I mean, they get teeth whitening, they get fluoride treatments, they get probably nose jobs. It's amazing. And then, of course, you get the You get the travel expenses, so you can fly back and forth from your district, so you can go home and you can meet the constituents and you can go to the barbecues and you can talk to the people and they can yell at you and you can hold town hall meetings. Then you fly back to Washington, D.C. and you pretend to be working for your constituency. It's great. So you get free travel. You get offices everywhere. You get an office in Washington, D.C., but I'm talking like a primo office space. A majorly huge office with an entire staff of like a dozen people. People that are there, they do everything for you. You get an office back home also with a staff. Some people have like 3 or 4 offices all paid for by the government. And then you get, what's it called? I forget what it's called, but is it franking privileges? Where you get to just sign your name and that's a postage stamp. I don't know anyone who mails letters anymore. Is it a franking? What's it? Franking privileges? Hang on. Franking. Yeah, the franking privilege. And I think this is like an old school thing. I don't know if it still works, but in the old days, members of Congress and the Senate didn't have to pay for postage. They could mail anything in an official capacity for free just by signing their name. So instead of a stamp, they'd be like, give me that letter. And they would sign, Congressman Jim Jordan, and you put it in the mail and boom, it gets delivered because of the franking privilege. I again think that's a really old school. I think there's better perks now. Like I think there's a gym, stuff like that. There's better perks. But anyway, that's the thing. But I would definitely, if I could still have a podcast like Matt Gaetz, there's no reason not to. There's no reason not to run for Congress. And also it gets rid of John Rutherford, one of the worst congressmen we've ever had in our entire lives. So anyway, that's kind of that hopefully will bring you up to speed with what's been going on with this vote. Now, the vote is supposed to go through committee, and the committee requires an hour to get together. Then they've got to hear. They're going to bring these initiatives up the right way. They're meeting with Hakeem Jeffries, who Hakeem Jeffries is going to be there as well. So it should happen. Something should happen today. Will it pass the Senate? I don't know, but we do know that. Get this. Let me show you this. Earlier today, or last night rather, both Joe Biden, who's still president of the United States. A lot of people forget that. Joe Biden, who's president of the United States, and Kamala Harris, who's still vice president of the United States of America. Look at this. This is Joe Biden and his family returning to the White House. And I know what you're thinking. Oh, look, it's cute. He's holding his little grandson. Help me out here. Son or daughter? Is that a grandson or a granddaughter? See, I don't want to make it. I don't want to assume. I say I don't know. Maybe grandson? I don't know. Doesn't matter. You're like, oh, that's cute. He's holding his grandchild's hand. No. He's stabilizing himself. The grandchild was told, you have to hold grandpa's hand because if grandpa falls down, it's bad news. We already know, thanks to the Wall Street Journal, that Joe Biden's not in charge. We already know, thanks to the Wall Street Journal, that there's 80 aides and assistants who have been working with him. Jill, yeah, she's waving to the camera. Jill's one of them. Remember, she's out there running cabinet meetings. Jake Sullivan is running cabinet meetings. This, according to the Wall Street Journal, that for years now, Joe Biden has been in a diminished capacity and unable to execute the office of president, which guess what? He still holds. So now he's back in Washington, D.C. He left Delaware. He was in Delaware, and he was there for his holiday celebration, and he was going to hang out in Delaware, and they rushed him back to the White House. Now, consequently, look at this. This is Kamala Harris. It's really loud. She gets sirens. She was rushed by, this is her being rushed back to the White House. There's a guy why do they have sidecars? I wonder what that's all about. There's another sidecar. So the police are rushing her back to the White House. The vice president and the president and their families headed back to the West Wing. And everyone's speculating, why is this happening? What's going on? Why is the president coming back? Why is the vice president coming back? What do they know that we don't know? Well, there's a couple of theories. First of all, the theory is that there's going to be some kind of resolution to keep the government open. And if a resolution to keep the government open passes, then guess what? The president has to sign it. And just in case the president is, unable to sign it, the vice president should be there as well. Because, with Joe Biden, think about this. It could happen at any moment, right? We could have a continuing resolution pass. We could have a spending bill pass. And they could send it over to the White House, and all of a sudden, Joe Biden goes to sign it, and he's like, cool. So you got to have Kamala Harris there ready to go. Plus, if there's a vote in the Senate, and the vote is tied, guess who you need to break the tie? To break the tie, the president of the Senate, who is, of course, Kamala Harris. So they're both back, and they're both back for a reason. The reason most people say is because of the budget resolution and because of the spending package and because she needs to be there to vote and he needs to be there to sign. Fine. That seems plausible. But I have another theory. Because there have been drones, mystery drones, buzzing all over the Northeast, buzzing all over New Jersey, buzzing all over New York, buzzing all over, you guessed it, Delaware. There have been drone sites. You know the thing. We've talked about it ad nauseum. Drones that people don't know where they're from or what they're doing. Drones that Alejandro Mayorkas said he thought were from a convenience store. Drones that John Kirby finally admitted, okay, we know what they are, but we think some of them are actually commercial aircraft. They're all legal. Don't worry about it. We had speculation from not one but two sources. John Ferguson, the CEO of Saxon Aerospace Technologies in Kansas, say, look, I got an inside government source saying these things are sniffing out something bad, like, something radioactive or nuclear. We had Bethany Frankel from Real Housewives of New York, Bravo star and skinny girl margarita magnet. We had her out there saying the same thing. A friend of mine who works in the government wrote to me and called me and said, you should probably think about spending Christmas elsewhere because, gosh, if something bad happened to you, I'd never forgive myself for keeping this secret. And then, of course, she goes on TikTok and tells the world. So you got drones sniffing out nuclear weapons all around the, we think, that's the rumor, that's the theory. Don't fact check me, people. That's the theory. The theory is that have been well publicized by a couple of sources that these drones could be sniffing out nuclear weapons or missing radiation or whatever it is. If that's the case, where would the safest place be for the president and the vice president and their families to spend the holidays? In Delaware, where there are drones? No. How about in the White House, where there is an underground nuclear bunker capable of withstanding pretty much anything? That's another theory. So yes, it just so happens that they're there to sign whatever budget law bills come down. It's there so that they could run the Senate and vote on whatever they want. All that is plausible. But it also, helps that in case World War III breaks out in our own backyard, they're really close to the bunker and not, miles away at the beach. All right, listen, I promised you we would do some super chats and some holiday messages. And I've been getting, by the way, thank you again to all of our moderators. We have 3 great moderators that help us out on our channels. D. Dockery, that Liberty lady. Disney Up, Boiler Up, a.k.a. Brandy. We appreciate it. And Julie. Toomey, thank you so much to the 3 of you for doing a fantastic job. And this whole year, ever since we came back in July, they've been working, they are volunteers for the cause, and we appreciate all of that. And they work to moderate all of the chats and keep the chats running and smoothly. Well, Dee, who's been moderating the Rumble chat, has been sending me some Rumble rants, and I'm going to read those here in just a minute. If you have a super chat on YouTube that you'd like to share, I can actually share it on the screen. So whatever your message is, whatever you want to, I can share that on the screen. The Rumble rants I have to read. I have to read on my own. But UL32 writes, have a safe and happy holiday season, everyone. Merry Christmas. Oh, maybe we should do the Christmas music again for these. That sounds like Christmas music, right? Yeah. All right. UL32 writes, have a safe and happy holiday season, everyone. Merry Christmas, with a $5 Rumble rant. Thank you so much, UL32. That's very generous of you. MT Forever, which is what? Montana Forever, I guess? Maybe MT Forever. Mary Pat. Merry Christmas from Mary Pat. Mary spelled differently, M-A-R-Y, as opposed to M-E-R-R-Y. $10 Rumble rant. Thank you very much for Mary Pat. That will keep us going in the new year. A new year for sure. We got $2 from somebody. It doesn't say. Oh, it's from D. Dockery. Merry Christmas, Kaye family. Thanks for everything you do for Kaye's kids, and I hope we get to see Christmas in July from your favorite libertarian Patriot. Thank you very much, D. By the way, let me mention what happened with Christmas in July today. So we had 12 kids that we were so excited to share gifts with and interview and talk to, and you've met 11 of them. And every so often in the 10 years we've been doing this now, and the hundreds of kids that we've interviewed and we've shared, every so often, because as we tell you, these kids are in the midst of it. They are battling every day. They're coming out of the hospital. Yesterday, Savannah, who we spoke to, she literally was in the hospital the night before her interview. She managed to get out of the hospital. She managed to come back. She shared her story with us. We were able to give her the 14-karat white gold earrings and give her a Merry Christmas. But I mean, it was touch and go. We didn't know if she was going to be out of the hospital. And our Kaye's kid for today was unfortunately not physically able to come to her interview. And I don't want to tell you anything else about her because we're still trying to make something happen. But we showed up that day and we heard from the folks at Dreams Come True. Look, they, heard she's having a bad day. Things aren't going well with her treatment. So, and we're like, here, we're not in the way. We're not there to force them to do anything. If they can come, great. If they can't, we'll pray for them and we'll make arrangements at a later date. But she got a bike as well. I don't want to tell you her name, whatever, because if she's on the odd chance that she's watching, I don't want to ruin the surprise. So we had 11 great stories that we were able to share with you, 11 great videos, 11 great Kaye's kids who you heard from. And we have one who wasn't able to make the trip, but who we still are thankful that we could help out. And hopefully when we come back, we'll be able to share with you some photos and some video of what they were able to get from Christmas time, because it is just so exciting. Oh, we're getting some super chats in here. All right, let's see what we got here. This is Larry Baltozer. Larry B. Super chat. Run, Mark, run. Well, thank you, Larry. I appreciate it. Oh, let's check in, by the way, with my exploratory committee and see what's going on with my exploratory committee. Here we go. Let's check in and see what they say. 92.9%. It went up. 92.9% of people think that I should run for Congress in 2026. Against Representative John Rutherford, who I think the dude's retiring personally. Like, I mean, he's going to be 74 and he's not really that good at his job anyway. And like I said, he's set for life. He's made like $5 million in the stock market. That, by the way, that would be one of my platforms. I would not invest in the stock market. I would 100%. I'd say, look, I'm not going to invest in the stock market the entire time I'm in the House of Representatives. I would have to add that. So, all right, here we go. Here's what I would do. I would say no stock trading for me. I would continue the podcast because I think that's important. I would, I'm almost like a Tim Burchett kind of guy. I'm just going to vote no for everything. I would default to no because I think that defaulting to no, I always tell people that when they're confused about amendments, because here in Florida, we have so many constitutional amendments on the ballot. And I always go, look, if you don't understand it, if you can't read it, if you don't trust it, just vote no. Just vote no. That's the best thing. That's the best thing you can do. All right, let's get back to the super chats here. Teresa wrote a long one. Super chat, Mark, this is how you boost your income with super chats. You read them at the end of your shows, whether it be daily or weekly. It's a great way to acknowledge your supporters. Great show. Merry Christmas. Well, why are you just telling me this now, Teresa? No, listen, I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Yeah, well, if this goes well, then we'll keep doing it through next year. And yeah, we'll at the end of, maybe not every day. I don't know if we'll do it every day, but maybe at the end of the week, maybe on Fridays, maybe we do like a super chat Friday segment. We'll do something. We'll figure it out. Because like I said, we're constantly growing the show. We're constantly growing new ideas, all that kind of stuff. Candy Cane writes, Candy Cane, love Shirkin with Mark Kaye. Merry Christmas. Oh, thank you, Candy Cane. I appreciate that. We love Shirkin with you too. And if we ever get back to Tulsa, to Tulsa, we'll get back with Randy Brumley. We'll make a new Shirkin song. Oh, Disney Up Boiler Up, who we just mentioned, Brandy, one of our fantastic mods, part of the mod squad, as we like to call them. Super chat, Mary Camus. Always got to be branding. Brandy, always branding, Brandy. We appreciate it. Thank you so much for that. And again, thanks. Give a round of applause again to the Mod Squad, because they are the unsung heroes of Mark Kaye Saves the Republic. They are out there. Let me just get back this way. There we go. Let me close. I got double things going on here. They are the unsung heroes of Mark Kaye Saves the Republic, because without them, God knows what would happen. I don't even know what happens on the stream. I'm too busy doing the show. I don't know what kind of mayhem is going on out there. Luckily, they're able to keep up with it. Faith B904. Merry Christmas, Catriots. I love you, Mark, with a Christmas tree. Faith B, I love you too. And it's always a pleasure to see you every year at our poker tournament and all the parties. We really appreciate all your support. Incidentally, I hope you noticed I changed the super chat to red and green. I changed it to red and green for you because I wanted to make sure that I stayed in the Christmas spirit. Jennifer Lawson, $20 super chat. Wow, Merry Christmas to all. Thank you so. I feel like I should have my jingle bells. Hang on, I'm gonna get my jingle bells. Come here. Hey, don't go anywhere. I'm feeling festive. I'm feeling festive. So if you send a super chat, look, we're gonna celebrate. Yay! Thank you, Jennifer Lawson. Merry Christmas to you too. Thank you so. Oh, and look at this. It's like an auction. Jennifer Lawson left us a $20 super chat. Jeff left us a $21 super chat. It's like we're one of. Do I hear 22, 23 over there? Jeff Tim, super chat, $21. Run, Mark, run. Merry Christmas. Thank you, Jeff. You know, I would totally run because, like I said, I got nothing else better to do, and I think I could do it better than most of the people who have the job now. And also, like I said, if I could do, I mean, think about how many people would watch if we did this podcast live from the Capitol every day. If we were live streaming from the Capitol every day, if we were posting, the 47 daily from Washington, D.C., I think that would be, anyway, look, we'll check in with the exploratory committee, but it seems like it's a popular choice. We are also still, by the way, on Rumble, and we don't have the technological advancements yet to share on Rumble or share on screen our Rumble rants, but we're getting some big ones, man. Look at this. We got TNT Forever. Happy holidays to all Patriots. I know you can't see these because they're blurry. Oh, there you go. Happy holidays to all Patriots with a little smiley face and a tree. That was a $5 Rumble rant. We'll give you some bells for that. Beach Girl 007. Whoa, $50. Thanks, Beach Girl 007. We appreciate it. Merry Christmas. Looking forward to next year. I am so excited for next year. I can't even tell you. I am so excited for this year was up and down. You know, this year was up and down. We had some stuff happen that maybe at first seemed really bad. We had some stuff happen that seemed really sad. I lost my job this year, which at first I was really annoyed by, but I'll be honest with you. Never liked those people anyway. Lost my father. May he rest in peace. But we've really learned a lot and we've grown a lot and we've met some great new people and we've had all these great new opportunities. And of course, the most important thing is we got our country back. We saved the Republic for now. We're going to keep fighting. J. Monty Catriot, wishing Mark and every other Catriot a very Merry Christmas. Mark, give Hannah a hug from us next time you see her. Perfect. I don't want to get me too'd, so I try to avoid that, but I'll give her like a high five or something. Thank you, J. Monty Catriot. We appreciate that. My News 61. Everyone have a Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, and Happy New Year's. Yes, thank you very much. I'm trying to get it to focus. It's really kind of annoying that it doesn't do that. There you go. Anyway, we appreciate, look at all, we appreciate all of the love. We appreciate all the Rumble rants. We appreciate all the super chats. And most importantly, we appreciate everybody who watches this show every day, listens to the show, downloads the podcast. Oh, look, they're meeting in the House GOP meet amid new funding bill push. And we're gonna see how that goes. Now, just so you know, throughout the next week or so, we're not going to be having next week. Look, next week is Christmas, so we're going to be hanging out with the fam. We're not going to have a live show on Monday or Tuesday because it's Christmas Eve, and then Wednesday is Christmas Day, and then Thursday is the day that we just sit around, eat food, and drink, and then Friday's Friday. So, but then the next week we'll come back with some brand new shows as we head into the New Year's. And a couple of things too that I wanted to remind you of is that we have for next year we are entering the new golden age, and we have a big trip planned. We're headed to the Capitol for the inauguration of President Donald J. Trump. That's going to be amazing. We're going to bring you some great stories and footage and audio and content from Washington, D.C. We'll do some Mark Kaye in the Wild segments. You know, there's going to be protesters. There always are. There's always protesters at these things. And that's really the reason I go. No, I mean, I go to see democracy in action. I go to see the historic event of Donald Trump being inaugurated as president. All that. But also I go for the protesters because I love them so much. And then, of course, what we're going to do is we're going to come back and we're just going to go whole hog. And we have so much stuff that is planned. Our ACES group, by the way, is growing by leaps and bounds. We have inducted, I almost said indoctrinated, but we have inducted so many new ACES, members of the American Conservative Empowerment Society. In the past 2 days, we're up to 584 members. And I got to be honest with you, this is going to be one of our big focuses because next year, whatever it is you want to accomplish in life, whatever it is you've been thinking of doing, whatever it is you've been dreaming of doing, look at this, 584 people. Whatever it is you want to do, next year's the year to do it. Why? Because Donald Trump's back in office. And we already see he's working hard on the spending cuts and making sure that your tax dollars go back into your pocket, making sure that you have all the opportunity that you need. And the more money that there is out there in the general population, the more money there is for people to spend on stuff that you offer them. Anyway, so we're working a lot on that. And if you want to kind of poke around, it's all free. It's our free community, the American Conservative Empowerment Society. You're going to hear me talk a lot about it next year. I'm going to have some great video content specifically designed for our ACES community next year. We're going to have some special treats just for our American Conservative Empowerment Society. We're going to have more get-togethers and live events. It's really going to be, like I said, I'm really excited about it, which is why I talk about it all the time. But if you'd like to join, InsideAces.com is where you go, InsideAces.com. As I said before, free to join, and we look forward to seeing you in there. Man, the Rumble rants just don't stop. Rumble is on fire. Let me read these, and then we will. Let me read these, and then we'll wrap it up. It looks like, where do we leave off? With, oh yeah, we left off with my news. Jeff Seabach, MAGA Chats Friday. Merry Christmas, everyone. I like it. MAGA Chats Friday is great. I like MAGA Chats Friday. We'll go with maybe we'll get a logo going. So here's what I need: a couple logos. I need a logo for MAGA Chats Friday, and I need a logo for Mark Kaye for Congress 2026. Merry Christmas to you, Mark Kaye, and your family. Thank you for your great show. Prayers always. God bless. That is from Mary Beth R9047. Mary Beth, you are so sweet. We appreciate it. U.S. Abby Girl, $10 super chat. Thank you so much. $10 super chat again, which isn't in focus. We'll figure out a better way, by the way, in the new year. Merry Christmas to Mark Kaye and family. Merry Christmas to all Patriots. That is so sweet. That is so sweet. Whoa. D. Lou Toro, $50. Thanks so much for the laughs. Merry Christmas. Man, thank you. I'm glad I gave you $50 worth of laughs this year. Man, I'm going to try even harder next year. That's all. You can always tell the purple ones. The purple ones are the ones that are the biggies. Anyway, listen, thank you guys so much for an incredible year. Like I said, thank you so much for bearing with me. I'm going to continue to do this show. I'm going to continue to come in here every single day. The podcast, it will be there for you to download whenever you're ready to listen to it. And I hope everybody has a fantastic Christmas. Now, like I said, we're not going to be doing live shows, but you know me and cameras. You know me and microphones. I'm set up here at home. So if I get a wild hair or some kind of idea, or if I've got an hour to kill, I'm going to come in here and I'm going to create some great content and I'm going to put it up there for you. So the best thing to do, if you're on YouTube right now, hit the like button, subscribe, and set that notification bell. And when you get notified that Mark Kaye's got a new video or Mark Kaye just published something, go watch it. Because like I said before, it's made specifically with you in mind. If you're listening to the podcast on Spotify or iTunes or wherever, make sure that you've subscribed. Make sure you say, yes, deliver me this content, because you never know. I might pop up with a surprise podcast or two over the break. And I don't like to be, like I said, I can't stay quiet too long, especially if the government gets shut down, which it looks like it could be getting shut down. And you know what? Everyone's here. Donald Trump's all for it too. Donald Trump said something, we'll wrap it up here, which I think this is something that I think everybody needs to remember real quick. And that is that it's still Joe Biden's presidency. It's still Joe Biden's presidency. Joe Biden is still president. And that means if there's a government shutdown, it's on Biden's watch. So if we're going to shut it down, Donald Trump says, shut it down. If there's going to be a shutdown of government, let it begin now under the Biden administration, not after January 20th under Trump. This is a Biden problem to solve, but if Republicans can help solve it, they will. So there you go. We're going to muster through the last few days of Joe Biden's presidency together. We've got one more month, and this national nightmare will be over. But keep in mind, this could be the most dangerous and reckless month in American history. Drones flying, the borders still open, no one really sure who's in control of what, pardons flying out the door left, right, and center. We are going to be in danger for 30 more days. And then daddy comes home and takes care of beeswax. Until then, keep safe, keep strong, keep praying, keep fighting, keep listening. And together we will keep the faith. Wait, what? I messed it all up. And we will keep fighting. Yeah, that was anymore. So that we can save the republic. Okay, good. Merry Christmas. Happy Hanukkah. Happy New Year. And I can't wait I'm so excited for 2025. Thank you guys for your generosity. Thanks so much for watching. Thanks for listening. We'll see you.